So this week's grammar lessons or language arts lessons are pretty simple. We've talked about some of this before. And what this page is showing is that when you are using same subjects, so here we have the subject of Sally in this sentence, and we have the subject of Sally in this sentence. So this is going to be a big help for those of you who don't like to write so much. So instead of repeating that again and saying Sally in the first sentence and Sally in the second sentence, we can combine those two with the conjunction and. So then we can combine the verbs. So this part of the sentence, ran to the park, is about the same as this part of the end of this sentence, played at the park. So we could combine it to say Sally ran and played at the park. Okay, so we're combining the verb ran and the verb played. Okay, in this sentence down here, we could change it to say, instead of saying the little boy and then the little boy again, so we don't want to repeat that, we can change it to say the little boy cried and yelled when he fell down. Okay, so those can be changed with the conjunction and. So you will have a worksheet like that this time that you have to change from putting it into two sentences to putting it into one sentence. The next worksheet in your grammar packet this week, or your language arts, is about letter writing. Now, we've written letters before. We wrote to our pen pals, and we've done this before, so it should be very simple for you. But let's review. This is the friendly letter. Over on the right-hand side, so you're going to fold your paper in half because it's about halfway down or halfway on the side of the paper that you write the heading, okay, which is the address, and then the date. Now, remember that then you move all the way over to the left-hand side of your paper, and you write the greeting. You write, dear, whoever you're writing to, okay, and that comma in there. Then you need to write, this one has how many paragraphs? Parker, you're right. There is 1, 2, 3 paragraphs. And we know that because there's the indent right here. So we have 3 paragraphs there. And that's called the body of your letter. And then the closing is your way of saying goodbye. And that lines up. Now, it didn't line up very well with these guys, but it's supposed to line up with your heading. So it's on that fold again, where you had that fold. And you can put love or your friend or sincerely, and it has a comma also. And then your signature is where you put your name. Okay, so that's the parts of the letter. Now, there's certain places you have to have commas. Now, in the body of your letter, you can have many different places you have commas, and you need to stop and think where those might be, where you make that just slight pause. But there are 4 places you have to have commas in your friendly letter. So you put the comma between the city and the state, and you put the comma between the day of the month and the year. And we've talked about this before, so nobody should get that part wrong. And then, as I said, you put a comma after the greeting, after the person's name. And then down here in the closing, after you write your friend or love, okay, or sincerely. So those are the 4 places you have to have a comma. Now, your worksheet this week is talking about a formal letter. It's not a friendly letter. So it's more like a business letter. If you were writing to the President of the United States, there's a couple little changes that you would do. So one of them is this comma after the person's name would become a colon. Now, who remembers what a colon is? Ryland, what's a colon? Yeah, it's those two dots right above each other. So it's the period and then a dot right above it. That's called a colon. And that's what you need to have in the formal letter in the greeting part. You don't put the comma in that formal letter, which is what your worksheet will be this week. Okay? So then you put the colon right here. Okay? And then you also, usually the closing and the signature, so these two parts here, would be moved over to the left-hand side. And then the heading is usually on the left-hand side too. It usually makes it all get lined up right here. So we make sure then do that. So some of you kids that keep forgetting and you move everything over and over, make sure that you line everything up right here. Okay, you know who you are, those that keep forgetting. All right, so this is the parts of a friendly letter. And a formal letter is a business letter. It's to somebody important. So you would put a colon here instead of the comma. And then the heading, the closing, and the signature would be over on this side, on the left-hand side. All right, have fun with your letters.